What's up, guys? Scott here. NFL Week 15 is in the books. The storylines were all over the place, whether it was playoffs, injuries, including my own. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. Right away, let's talk about it. It's obvious I got a big shiner on my face. Had a freak accident in the snow, walking the dogs, had a slip and a fall, and my face took the brunt of the fall. So that's what we're dealing with here. But it's playoff time. I'm not going to miss a game. I'm not going to miss the podcast. So let's talk about week 15. And let's start off with injuries. Huge injury news in week 15. Starting off before the week even started, TJ Watt for the Steelers missed the week because during medical treatment, he got a punctured lung and had to go to the hospital and missed the game on Monday with the Dolphins. Patrick Mahomes, he tore his ACL, so he'll be out for the rest of the year and a good part, possibly, of next year. Micah Parsons of the Packers, he also tore his ACL. That changes everything when it comes to the Packers and their playoffs, in my opinion. And the Rams, who still look like the best team in the NFC at this moment, they lost Devontae Adams, who re-aggravated a hamstring injury, and we'll talk about that as well and see how that affects the Rams going forward and their playoff hopes. That leads us to the big story of the week. Philip Rivers coming out of retirement to start for the Indianapolis Colts against the Seattle Seahawks. What a game that was. Philip Rivers, applause to you, sir, for coming back and in 3 or 4 days getting ready to play, playing with guys other than Michael Pittman. There's really no one that he's played with before on that team, and able to come in, not make any glaring mistakes, play good enough to battle the Seattle Seahawks, who are maybe the second best team in the NFC next to the Rams, getting them into position to go ahead with 47 seconds left and give them a chance to win. Left too much time for Sam Darnold, though, and they were able to come down and kick the game-winning field goal and win that game 18-16, thus ruining the made-for-TV movie and motion picture movie that would have been made about this game and about Philip Rivers' story and keeping their playoff chances alive. But Seattle, they needed that game to stick with the Rams, setting up a huge matchup between Seattle and the Rams this week for the NFC West division lead. But Philip Rivers is going to start again this week. They still have a chance to make the playoffs. They're lurking outside. They're going to need some help and some losses by some teams who, quite frankly, are all playing well. So it's going to be tough for the Colts to make the playoffs, but they still have a legitimate chance. It'll be interesting to see how Philip Rivers improves this upcoming week. I felt watching that game, there's a question of arm strength. You know, the guy hasn't been throwing the ball in 5 years. So pushing the ball down the field is a huge problem, which it was in this game, allowing Seattle to stack the line and stack the box and stop Jonathan Taylor, who is the biggest threat on their offense right now. I'm not sure if Philip Rivers is going to be throwing any 30, 40-yard passes down the field. There's a lot of dink and dunk and screens and controls, and it worked just fine. And the Indianapolis defense played good enough until that very last 47 seconds. It's going to be interesting to see if the Colts can make the playoffs with this kind of offense and see what a full week of practice Philip Rivers will have an effect on their upcoming game this week. Seattle, like I said, they're set up to play the Rams. Let's talk about the Rams. They look like the best team in the NFC. The way they beat up the Lions, who desperately needed that game this week to keep their playoff hopes alive. They're now starting to be on life support, the Lions, I mean. Matt Stafford looking like the MVP, especially since Drake May lost to the Bills. Puka Nacua looks like the best wide receiver in the NFL next to Jackson Smith and Jigba. But the big news, Devontae Adams did injure his hamstring toward the end of that game. It's kind of a short week for them with this. I think their game is on Saturday. So if Adams is unable to go, it's expected that rookie Kanata Mumpfield will be asked to step up in a major way. Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur has confidence in Mumpfield, and he said he sees a lot of similarities between him and Adams in their style of play and their skill set. But the only thing missing with Mumpfield is the experience, of course. He's not going to be able to just replace Davante Adams, but he can do similar things. So LaFleur has confidence in him. So look for Mumpfield to step in there if Adams is unable to go. I talked about it for 2 weeks in a row. The Washington Commanders, I feel like they needed to shut Jayden Daniels down after his elbow injury. There's no reason to bring him back. They had nothing to play for. And earlier this week, the Commanders agreed with that assessment, and they are shutting Jayden Daniels down for the rest of the season. Good for them. He's their future. He's their franchise going forward. He had a great season in his rookie year. He has ability up the wazoo, and there's no reason for him to play in meaningless games at this point, and no reason for him to get injured and jeopardize their season next year. With all the ACL injuries I opened up talking about, what if something like that happened to him? He'd be gone for the season. So I think the Commanders made the right choice, shutting down Jayden Daniels. Marcus Mariota, if you're still in your fantasy playoffs, he now becomes a viable streaming option for quarterback if you need, due to all the injuries, like, say, to a Patrick Mahomes. If you're looking for a replacement, that's somebody to look forward to. With the Commanders shutting down Jayden Daniels, I also think it's time for the Bengals, who lost this week, to do the same for Joe Burrow, especially after hearing Joe Burrow in his press conference this week. He's had a rough career so far. He's missed so many games over his career the last couple of years due to injuries. And this last one, it sounded like, if you heard him in his press conference, it really is taking a toll on his mental strength and energy. And the game is not seeming fun to him. So if his head's not right and he's not having that alpha quarterback mentality, which it doesn't sound like he is, and the way he played this past week against Baltimore, I mean, they got shut out for the first time in Joe Burrow's career. He's never been shut out as a professional. So that was huge. The Baltimore Ravens dominated them. So with his head not right, it's not safe for him to be out there. And maybe let's just shut him down, let his foot heal, let him start to get his head right and come back and get ready for next season. Because unfortunately for the Bengals and Cincinnati, there's nothing really left to play for. So much like Jayden Daniels, Joe Burrow's the franchise. You see the difference since he's come back playing with this injury, the difference in the defense and the offense, except for last week against the Ravens. Let's shut Joe Burrow down. Let's let him get his head right, and hopefully he comes back better and stronger next year. All right, let's start talking playoff picture. To me, the Houston Texans look like the hottest team in the AFC, even despite the 11-game winning streak with the Broncos. The Broncos look like they're going to be the number one seed in the AFC, but the Houston Texans, they are coming on strong. That defense is just getting better and better each week. C.J. Stroud starting to get it together. They even had injuries to their running back, and the guy that they picked up off the practice squad playing in his first game, he got 100 yards rushing. So their offense is clicking as well. The Houston, to me, is the team that I don't think anybody wants to play right now. The Chiefs, Dolphins, and Bengals, they were all eliminated from their playoffs. Despite the Vikings even winning their game, they are no longer in playoff contention. They played the role of spoiler against the Cowboys. The Cowboys, their season seems to be over. They do have a very slim chance to win their division, but they're not going to make a wild card at this point. It would require the Eagles losing out and Dallas winning all their remaining games to even have the shot at that. That tie, once again, that the Packers and the Cowboys have on their records is coming into play with both of those teams. So I think we can put a cork in the Cowboys' playoff hopes. It's a super long shot that I don't think is going to happen, because the Eagles, they're going to win at least one more of their games this year. So sorry, Cowboys fans, but it looks like your season's over. The Packers, after losing this past week to Denver, they are in desperate need of a win this week. The Bears have one game up on them. The Packers, because of that tie, if they were to beat the Bears this week, would surge ahead of the Bears because of that tie, which, again, I've said it probably a dozen times this year. Ties, NFL, let's eliminate ties going forward. This upcoming meeting between the Packers and the Bears, this is going to be huge. And I think whoever wins that game has the advantage as the season is winding down to take control of that division. Hopefully it's a snow game too, because the Packers and the Bears playing in the snow, that doesn't seem anything more right than the Packers and Bears playing in a snow game. So Mother Nature, let's see if we could drop some snow on that game this upcoming week. The Bills and the Patriots blew a 21-point lead. That game started out like, oh boy, we have a changing of the guard. The Patriots are dominating this game. The Bills, as they did last week, had a come-from-behind victory, and they're seeming to get hot at just the right time. James Cook, how I said, was key for the Bills last week. His fumble issues were something to be of a big concern. He was able to hold on to the ball this week, and the Bills wound up winning the game. James Cook is the most consistent part of the Bills' offense this season, and as he goes, the Bills go, in my opinion, and he did very well against the Patriots, and the Bills won that game. They came from behind. From the Patriots' standpoint, they still have a chance to win this division, so the Patriots need to win this upcoming week. The big thing that was eye-opening to me, pardon the pun, with my eye being not quite all the way open, the Patriots need to learn how to finish off an opponent. Reminiscent to the way the Falcons were unable to hold that 28-3 lead against the Patriots in the Super Bowl, this felt similar the way the Bills were able to come back and kick the Patriots' ass in the second half of that game. I also feel that the Bills exposed the Patriots' special teams, especially the kickoff in the second half. I feel like that was a turning point of the whole game. The momentum swung into the Bills' favor after that, and that was the third huge kick return that the Bills had. I think the Patriots need to button that up week 16 versus the Ravens. The Ravens coming off their dominant win over the Bengals, desperate for a win to keep pace with the Steelers, who won Monday night. Both teams I feel, are in a must-win situation. Patriots will make the playoffs if they lose this game, but they're not going to win the division, I don't think, if they lose this game to the Ravens. And the Ravens defense is playing great. They were playing the Bengals last week, so is it because the Ravens are playing that well, or is it because the Bengals are that bad? It's it's hard to tell sometimes, but good teams don't lose to bad teams. The Ravens were able to put the Bengals away last week, and they're looking to do the same to the Patriots and hold off the hat and t-shirt game for the Patriots one more week. But I feel like the Patriots are going to lock up this division with the win. The loss, it's going to leave the door open for the Bills to take the division. And from a Patriots fan standpoint, I'd like to see them win the division because I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I may be wrong about that, but Mike Vrabel's probably one of the top candidates for Coach of the Year at this point with what he's done, turning this team around, both offensively and defensively, and special teams for most of the year, except for this last week against the Bills. But the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he played well last week. Still doesn't quite look right to me, but he played much better than he has in previous weeks, which is a must for the Ravens at this point. And the Patriots having to stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, it's going to be a tough matchup for them with such a young team. So we'll see. That's going to be one of the key games that I'm watching this week. The Eagles had a get-right game against the Raiders. They pretty much solidified their division title in the NFC East. As I said previously, the Cowboys, they're essentially done. They do have a 1% chance, but as I said before, they're not going to go anywhere unless the Eagles have a complete collapse, don't win any more games, and the Cowboys somehow win all their remaining games. The Cowboy season is done. Let's just stop. Let's not waste time talking about them. Let's talk about teams that are still in the playoff hunt. The Eagles, their offense looked better for 2 weeks in a row now. Saquon Barkley has been a factor. A.J. Brown was a factor. Jalen Hurts this week was starting to use his legs more and running. So the Eagles are starting to, maybe get back to their old ways the way they were last year. I mean, they're still a ways off. They've got injuries on that offensive line, but they looked a lot better. Again, they're playing probably the worst team in the NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders, who seem to have just quit on the season. Their offensive line can't block anybody. They can't run the ball. They can't pass protect. And their defense, from what I saw, they were arguing with each other on the sidelines, arguing with each other coming off the field. The whole mood is not right in Las Vegas. There's going to be a house cleaning of epic proportions, in my opinion, including the coaching staff, players. They need everything in the upcoming draft: quarterbacks, offensive line help, defensive secondary help. They have lots of problems. If you're still in your fantasy playoffs and you've got offensive players on your roster that are going up against the Raiders, get them in your lineup. Chances are they're going to have huge games. And good luck with your fantasy playoffs with that little piece of advice. Several teams were in the spoiler role this week. The Falcons and Saints, they enjoyed their roles as spoilers, keeping the NFC South division up for grabs. The Panthers had a chance to take control of that division after the Buccaneers lost a horrible game for them on Thursday night, the game they should not have lost. I don't even know what to say about that, but the Panthers had a chance against the Saints to take control of the division, but the Saints said, not today, and they won with a last-second field goal. If you saw the reactions in both of those games, these guys, they don't have anything to play for, but they kind of do because they get to mess up their division rivals and hold off any sort of clarifying of the playoff picture for these guys. The Bucs and Panthers are both kicking themselves for letting these games get away from them. They both should have won those games and didn't. That division is still up for grabs, and it's probably going to come down to the last week of the season before we find out who's going to win the NFC South. Looking forward for the playoffs right now, I'm feeling like the Los Angeles Chargers, they are my sleeper team. They're the one that I think might sneak up on people. They have a good quarterback. They have a good run game now that they have Amarian Hampton back. Their offensive line is holding together with duct tape and bubble gum and doing the job. They're keeping Justin Herbert clean. Justin Herbert's playing through his broken left hand and doing just enough, at least, for them to win. Their defense is starting to hold up and play well at crucial times in the game and getting off the field on third down, which is crucial, especially come playoff time. And add to that, they have a very experienced coach in Jim Harbaugh who knows how to win. So with those factors, I feel like the Chargers are a sleeper team and someone who they might sneak up on people in the playoffs if you're not paying attention. I know I've said this already, but it looks to me like the Broncos are going to be the team to beat in the AFC. They look like they got a pretty good lock on the number one seed, especially since the Patriots lost to the Bills. They seem to find a way to win each week. Bo Nix seems to get better and better. He knows how to win. He's scrappy. He's kind of like got that Baker Mayfield kind of energy where he just does what he needs to do, whether it be a scramble here or throwing the ball down the field. He just doing the right things and he's not turning the ball over. They also have probably one of the best defenses in the AFC, and the Broncos have been right up there, either one or two in defense the whole season. Their run game is holding together despite the injuries to J.K. Dobbins. R.J. Harvey's doing a good enough job there, and even he got a little dinged up this past week. Something to watch to see if he's able to play this week, but it sounds like he's going to be able to play, and it's going to be a tough matchup, but he should do well this upcoming week. And it's that kind of toughness and winning those tight games, which it feels to me, if, looking at it right this second, just because of those kind of character wins that the Broncos have had all season long, it seems like that's the kind of mentality you need to win a Super Bowl. And they might be the favorite to win the Super Bowl based on how their win streak, their offensive play, and their defensive play. And they've got a head coach who's won a Super Bowl before. So with those things in their back pocket, that gives them a pretty good chance to win this whole thing. So That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.